What's the second biggest thing that you'll purchase that goes down, 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 and down in value? Well, that would be cars, ladies and gentlemen. And today on Everyday Finance 101, we're going to be talking about them. We're going to talk about my car, my wife's car, our loans on the cars, or loan, little hint there. And we're going to talk about what I think is the best kind of option for purchasing cars and what we do to keep our financial life on track. Hopefully, this is going to be helpful for you, all things cars, so that you can understand what that second biggest purchase should look like. Let's get into it. The first thing that I want to talk about with respect to cars, and I showed this in my TikToks and YouTube shorts, but is the concept of depreciation. Okay, so cars are a thing where they go down in value every single year, as you can see by this chart here. Most assets that you want to own should be going up in value, and so with cars, that's just not necessarily the case all the time. So cars start out with 100% of their value in year one or year zero, I guess. After 1 year, they lose about 29% of their value. So they're down to about 71% of what they were worth. After year two, they only lose about an additional 6%, then 5%, 5%, and kind of 5% is what's consistent, at least on this chart over here. So there's no perfect time to buy a car, whether it's 1 year old or 10 years old or whatever. It's really just up to you and what you want. But this chart just goes to show, for me personally, it's never going to make sense to buy a brand new car for 100% of its value when in 1 year it would go down by almost 30%. So that's like me saying, hey, I'll give you $100 and then in a year you give me 71. Not a really good exchange there. So my sweet spot that I kind of like to buy cars is really this, like, I would say 2 to 4 year range, this 65 to 55% of its original value. That's where I like to live. If you're a car person and you can get bigger, not discounts, but if you can work on older cars, understand what's going on, you might be able to get a way older car. But that's just kind of where I like to live. So cars go down in value. I don't think it makes sense to buy a brand new car. I think it makes sense to buy a car that's a couple of years old, okay? Specifically 2 to 4 years old for me, because you almost get it half off, okay? That's the first thing I want to go over. The next thing I kind of want to dive into here is I want to look at Auto Trader. And so Auto Trader is a site that I use on my phone all the time. And I kind of just go over like used cars and seeing what they're worth in my area. So we're just going to search a random car. I did a Jeep Grand Cherokee on my TikToks, YouTube shorts. Let's just do a Ford Explorer. So Ford Explorer, and then I live in the zip code 48360, and I'm going to search it. And so when I do that, I'm going to get some cars that pop up. Now, I am going to do kind of 2 examples here, and we'll kind of get both prices. So the first example that I'm going to do is, let's do a new one. I don't think 2026 models are out yet, so we're going to do a 2025. So I'm going to do the years, which are 2025. I'm going to have all these ads that pop up. You're just going to have to bear with me. And I just want to make sure that I'm looking at a similar car. So the Ford Explorers, because I have been looking at these a little bit, they changed to an active line, which they don't have that line for the 2020 like 2s or 2023s that I want to look at. But we can find, active is kind of like their XLT, so we can kind of find one. Now, you're going to get different prices, and we can just take this one because it's just right off the rip. So this one, once it loads, is a 2025 Ford Explorer. It's got this active comfort package, and it's 9 miles, so it's new. It's about $45,500, okay? So then let's open up Auto Trader again, and we're going to go look at a 2022. A lot of finance is doing research and then actually putting that research to use. It's the same thing with investing, and we're going to talk about that, but really anything, houses, cars, like, you got to do research, even technology like phones and stuff like that. It's just kind of the grind of finance, right? It's not an automatic button like all these people online tell you. So let's look at a 2023. So we're gonna go with that like 2-year-ish old range, 2025, 2024, 2023. And so, you know what? I want to open back up that depreciation thing that we had because I want to be able to show that to you guys. So we're going to kind of be looking at this year 2 to year 3-ish range with kind of what I got inputted here. And so 2023, I like it to have, I don't know, 30,000 miles or under. So in this mileage area, I'm going to put under 30,000 just so I can get, I want a used car, but I also want a car that's going to last a while and that someone didn't drive to crap. So kind of like both things I'm looking at there. And so I'm going to need, now I know this active one, especially with a comfort package, is probably going to need me to pick like leather as a feature here because that's like how the Ford Explorer will be, like that like equivalent comfort package. So I'm just going to pick leather seats. And it's going to load. It's going to load. And let's see. I might be able to get, yeah, equipment group 202A. How many miles do you have on it? We're going to do some research here. That one's fine. I mean, really, a lot of these are fine. I'm trying to look at that says like with a comfort package, but it's okay if they don't say that. Okay. Let's pick this guy. Okay. So we're going to pick a 2023 Ford Explorer XLT. Oh, perfect, with equipment group 202A. That one's similar to the active comfort package. It's got about 28,000 miles on it, okay? So this price is $32,775, and this price is $45,560. So I'm just going to bring out a calculator here. So we're going to go $45,560 minus $32,775. So it's about a $13,000 difference. When you divide this difference by the original one's costs, $45,560, it's going to give you a percentage of the difference. I'm going to times that percentage by 100 so you can see it in better. So about 28% cheaper. And if we go back to this image, you can see that it's not as depreciated as this year 2, year 3 should be, quote unquote. It's more like this year 1 because it's only 28%. I say only in air quotes there. But you can see Ford Explorers, I guess, don't depreciate as much. The example I did in my YouTube Shorts and TikToks was a Jeep Grand Cherokee, which did depreciate pretty accurately to this chart. But again, it's just a chart, so it's not going to be perfect. But anyway, if we bought a 2 or 3 year old car, in this case it was 2 years old, we get a 28% cheaper. Okay, so that's the first thing to for sure understand with cars overall, is that they go down in value very fast, unlike stocks, unlike other investments that we hopefully go up in value. And so you don't really, in my opinion, I don't want to buy brand new cars that are going to sink like a rock in value. Personally, I'd rather get them discounted 30% off in that range, okay? So now I want to take you through the next kind of thought process that I have with how my wife and I do cars, okay? And so I'm going to exit out Auto Trader because it's going to slow my browser down. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to post this Google Sheet into the bottom of the YouTube video, link it, so that you can have it if you want. So currently, right now, my wife drives a 2017 Ford Escape. We bought that right when we got out of college, right when she got out of college. We graduated the same year. But that is her car. And then we bought my 2022 Ford Edge in November of 2023. I used to have a 2013 Grand Cherokee, and then we bought this 2022 Ford Edge a year and a half ago-ish, okay? And so right now, these cars have 134,600 miles. That's what my wife's car has right here. And then my car has 34,200, okay? And so what I did in this sheet is I said, okay, what does the average person drive per year? And so when you do a quick Google on that, you can see that the average person drives about this like 13.5 per year. I'm a conservative guy, so I went higher with my assumptions, and I assumed that I would drive 15,000 per year. I also do some door dashing, so that would add to it. But I assumed about 15,000 per year, okay? And so the reason that that's important is because in this car scenario, I just want to show you with my idea kind of what mileage you would have on cars as you continue to switch them, okay? So right now, on this 2017 Ford Escape, we do not have a car loan on it. Okay, we paid that off before we bought our new used car, the Ford Edge. I am under the philosophy that for our life, I want one car loan at a time. It's just what I think works for us financially, allows us to have more freedom and to invest extra money, have extra money for other things like travel and stuff like that. So I only want to have one car loan at a time, okay? And so once we paid off her Ford Escape, we then were able to potentially get another car loan for the new Ford Edge, new used Ford Edge, which we did, okay? So we got that car loan for the Ford Edge in November of 2023. We got a 4-year loan, so theoretically we're supposed to pay it off 2027, but we've been making extra payments, so we're on pace to pay it off a year early, so about December 2026-ish. Okay, so that's the assumptions that I'm running with in this scenario here. We have 134,600 miles at the beginning of May and 34,200 on the Ford Edge. Okay, now I am going to then run to December for these scenarios because that's kind of when our loan lines up. And so for the first little chunk here, this May to December, I'm only going to use a 7-month time frame because May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and then it's the beginning of December. So that's why 7 months. So theoretically, December 1st, Tessa's car should have 143 on it. Mine should have about 43. Okay, so about 100,000 difference between the two. Then a year after that, we'll put 15,000 miles on the car. Tessa's car will be about 9 to 10 years old. 2017, we're now in 2026. End of 2026, that's why I put 9 to 10. My car will have about 58,000 on it, and this is when the loan would end on this Ford Edge. Okay, so with what we've got going, that's when that loan would be done. Then we'd have no car loans. And so then in my head, I'm like, okay, we can then get a new used car. And so in this scenario, I put, all right, let's buy a car with 25,000 miles on it. We'll probably buy a 2 or 3-year-old car, so we're almost at the end of 2026. So maybe a 2024 or 2025 car, and we'll buy it with 25,000 miles on it. Okay, so the Ford Escape now is sold. So I'll just like kind of highlight that red because that car is now sold. And so now we have the Ford Edge, and then we have this new used car, okay? And so then I kind of went through the same scenario, and I said, all right, 15,000 miles every single year, and then we got another 4-year loan, I'm assuming, and so then we paid it off in this December 2030 timeline, okay? And so now the Ford Edge, which at this point is about 8 to 9 years old, has about 118,000 miles on it. And so now this is the time where I would sell the Ford Edge. So I'm just going to kind of highlight these red so you can see it. So now the Ford Edge is being sold. This new used car that we had, the loan on that one is finished. It's got about 85,000 miles in this scenario. And then we bought another new used car for 25,000 miles on it with another 4-year loan. And I said we're in 2030, so maybe we bought like a 2028, 2029 car, okay? Fast forward down here. Now we have, I kind of end the scenario here, but we add 15,000, 15,000, 15,000, and then we repeat the process. So at this point, our first new used car was 145,000 miles on it. The other one's got 85, which is similar to the scenario up here. And it would be time to upgrade this new used car over here. And so I'm going to highlight that one red. So this is how my brain works for processing the future and big purchases. If you think about things in only the moment, you're kind of toast, in my opinion. So if you need a new roof on your house and you think about it the year you needed the new roof and the roof costs 25, 30 grand, like good luck, especially if you're tight financially. I like to think ahead. I like to plan ahead. And so this is one way to do that with a huge purchase that you make consistently throughout your life. I'm not a fan of leasing. That's a whole nother conversation. I like 2 to 3-year-old used cars-ish with 30,000 or less miles on them. You can get way older cars for way cheaper and you can drive them to the dirt. I'm not a car mechanic guy, And so I'm not going to be the one that's going to fix everything that needs big maintenance, 150,000 miles plus. So that's why I choose to do it this way. Yes, I lose some value in the cars. I know they go down in value, but at least buying a used car takes some of that depreciation off of me and puts it onto the person that's buying the new car. And so this is just an initial way to think about, okay, what kind of car should I be buying? How old should it be? And then what should my setup be for the plan going forward? I like one car loan at a time. Personal finance is personal. And so that is me. You have to do what is right for you. But I hope this is helpful, and I hope you can kind of follow through with that Google Sheet and see what it means. I'll put this, like I said, down in the link of the description below for the video so that you can have it. But this is kind of just my thought process on cars overall, and I hope that it's helpful to you because it's been helpful for me as far as what to follow for a car guideline. Key takeaways here: cars go down in value like a rock. You don't want to own a lot of assets that are going down in value. I hope looking at a spreadsheet like that, looking at a scenario in Auto Trader is helpful for you to make that next big decision. These big decisions, they do change a lot of financial things and your kind of path for life in general financially. And so that's what I want to do for you, is just teach you, make you financially educated so that you can make these decisions from a good perspective where you know the content and you know the knowledge yourself. Everyday Finance 101 with another video for you. Hopefully it's helping out. Let me know other ones that you want to do and things you want to see. Excited to keep making this content for you. Hope you have a great night. See ya.